In this video, we will find the y-intercept form of an equation from given information. Featured are primary vocabulary words that you should ensure you are familiar with. If you're not, I recommend that you look in prior notes and possibly videos online. Number 2, given the 2 points on the grid, what is the slope-intercept form that best represents the line that passes through the 2 points? Using the TI-84, we need to use the data button because we're given 2 points. Okay, so let's push the data. Okay, it says data. Now we have information in there. Okay, so we need to clear that out. So push data again and then arrow up to where it says clear all. It's the fastest way just to get rid of everything. Okay, why are we doing that? Here, let me push enter so it clears. It bounces back to L1 and L2 because those are the columns that we're going to use. Now you could use L1 and L3, but I just make it a habit to use L1 and L2. You do whatever you need to in your situation. Just make sure you keep up with it. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. We're going to say L1 is our X, L2 is our Y. So the first point is here, and that is -2 and 6. And then our second point is 1. Oops, not negative. It's positive. Okay. It's +1, but -4. Okay, now we can enter those. -2, enter, 1, enter, then arrow over. Notice how it pops right back up where we need it. And then we have 6 and -4. Okay, double check my entries. They are correct. Okay, so that doesn't look like a negative. Definitely -4. Okay, so now best practice is to back out all the way. Be careful entering or trying to get to your stat to create your equation when you're still in the list, okay? It sometimes works, sometimes it does not work. Okay, so second mode to back out, and then second data to get to where we need. Now, I need you to notice a couple of things. The first thing is we need number 2, but notice there is not a third option. Just make note of it. That's important. We'll come back to it. So we need 2 for 2 variables because we're saying we have an X and a Y. Okay, push enter. Now, make sure that you're set up in the right place. My X's are in L1 and my Y's are in L2. Okay, so I'm going to arrow down to calc. That means calculate. Now we have all kinds of information. What do we need? We are creating the equation y equals ax plus b. That's what the calculator wants, okay? Or rather, it gives us. But we need to make a note that in many calculators, the a before the x is, of course, the slope. They just use a. Okay, let's go up and find. It's faster to go use arrow up to get there. And there we are. We have our A, we have our B, in a linear regression. So you kind of have an idea how they set things up. Okay, now you're going to say, wait a second. I see it's negative, but that's a decimal. Do I need to change that manually? No, you do not. First, let's get rid of option A because that is a positive slope. Obviously our A, our slope is negative. So now we have 3 things left, B, C, and D. What do we need to do? Well, see how I've highlighted A and it's the capital D? Push enter and it brings the A out. Now enter again and it gives you the value. You take that value and change it with the toggle button above enter. Now we know what the slope is. Well, that eliminates B and C. Gives me D. Now we've answered the question. However, let's verify our B value of -2/3. And your thought may be, well, how do I do that? I've backed out. Not a problem. Remember, I said we come back to that I told you to make note of 1 and 2. Let me go back and show you. Second data. Okay, there we are. Remember, when we first started out, we only had number 1 and number 2. Now we have a third option. That's where our data is saved. So highlight 3 or just push 3. Now go back up. All the data is exactly the same, very conveniently saved for you. Highlight where your B value is, which is the capital E. Press enter once to get it to the screen. Press enter to get the value, and then toggle again to get the converted value. Okay, and that verifies option D. Using the TI-84, we will take our 2 points and enter them into the stat option. However, before that, let's set up what we're going to enter. We will enter L1 for our x's and L2 for our y's. That means that the first point will be entered -2, then 6, okay, and the second point, 1, then the -4. So it's already highlighted. You push stat, it's highlighted with edit, you push enter, and then as you can see, our L1 and L2 are already populated. Well, that's not a problem. We can simply wipe those clean or clear them out. So what you need to do is push stat again, and then see where number 4 says clear list. Push 4. Well, there are 2 ways to do this. So we're going to do L1 first. So second 1, and you see above the 1, it has the blue L1. Push enter, and the calculator says, hey, I've done this for you. So push stat, enter again, and as you see, L1 has been cleared. Now, another way to clear a list, you go up, highlight L2, whichever list you want to clear out. But you must push the clear button. Do not push the delete because that'll cause you a big mess and the entire column will disappear. So let's go clear and enter. Okay, now everything's cleared the way we want. So we need to enter -2. Notice I'm just arrowing around to get where I need to be. Then the 1. So I've done my X column in L1. Now L2, I just pop over and say 6, enter, -4, enter. Now, we need to populate, or rather create. It depends on how you want to see that, I guess. We want to create this equation. We have options A, B, C, and D. On the calculator, we are creating y equals ax plus the b, where a is actually our slope. Okay, it's just A is often used. Okay, all right, so what do? Back out all the way. If you don't back out all the way, it could cause you problems. Now, we need to go stat again, but arrow over to calculate. Now, this is different from the TI-30. We need number 4. As you see, 4 is this actual equation. So push 4. And we have our x's in L1, our y's in L2. Well, let's put this equation somewhere to store it, save it, okay? So this is what you do. You push alpha, trace, and you can put them in any one of those locations that you want to save it in. I'm going to go ahead and say 1 is fine. Y is the 1. So push enter and enter and enter again. This will help us create our equation. However, we have a bit of a conundrum that's in decimal form instead of fraction form. Okay, well, we can't eliminate option A because the slope is positive. So let's get rid of that. Now, you can look at some of these and say, wait a second. The slope is -3.333. Well, I already know that that's 3 1/3. And I know that obviously C would not be the correct slope because that's less than 1. I need something that's more than 1. So we now have B and D left. Well, we can't just change. I know this is inconvenient compared to some of the other calculators, we can't just simply like push a magic button and go from decimal to fraction with this particular situation. Even if you go to your y equals, there it is, and we can graph it. You can try pushing things, but it's just going to make a mess, okay? So we can look at it in a graph, in the table. I have it in the table, but you still arrowing over, trying to change it. We just don't have that magic function here, okay? But what you can do is there is a little trick to enter it into the calculator. So let's back out. And remember, we had negative 3.333333. Just put in a bunch of threes. So enter. Okay, well, now all I've done is entered it into the calculator, but I can do this. Second, y equals, and number 4. Okay, then push enter. And if you write down or you know what number you're working with, just isolate it on your blank screen, your original, your calculating screen. Sorry about that. And you can change it. And that is my slope. Remember, negative 3.333 was my A or slope value, which would verify option D. Now, we could also verify the B value. And if you remember, the B value was negative 0.666. And just put in as many sixes as you can. Push enter. Okay. And now we use the same function alpha y equals number 4 and enter. And it verifies your B value. Okay, on the Nspire, what we need to do is set up a list or spreadsheet. Okay, there's a couple ways to get that to a list or spreadsheet. You may already have one already on another page or another document. But what I'm going to do is just go straight to it. You can use your mouse to navigate. You want this item right here in the center. That would be your list or spreadsheet. So press enter, it pops up. Now we can enter our 2 points right into A and B. This is how we set it up. A will be our X's and B will be our Y's. So that means point 1, negative 2, 6. And then point 2 is, oh, not negative. Get rid of that. That will be 1, then negative 4. Okay, so let's enter that. Negative 2, enter, then 1. Now you have to arrow over and up. It doesn't pop over automatically, obviously. So then 6, enter, and then negative 4. Okay, we have those correctly entered. Now you need to go over and up. I just like to go to C column. And this is where I'm going to tell it, hey, I want you to create my equation, or rather show me what my slope and my B value are. So it will be, we are building mx plus b. And in the Nspire, m is your slope. Okay. And of course, b is still the same notation. Okay. So what do? We say menu. Okay. And then you want number 4. Then push number 1, and it gives you everything you need. And if you notice, number 3 is exactly, oh, let me go back up, is exactly what we want. So I'm going to push 3. Now it's highlighted, and it's saying, you need to tell me which column you're working with. So A is our X's. So I'm going to say Shift A. Do not push Enter, because a little box will pop up that you have to get rid of. So then arrow down and say Shift and B. Okay. Now it wants to go into F1 to save it. It'll save for you if you have another graph document or page in your document. But we don't need that, okay? It's not necessary for us right now. So now use your mouse and go down to your OK. Okay, and now after that, you see that column D populated. Now you could have gone over a little bit, but it's just my habit. You can play around with this. and you'll learn how to make this work. Okay, so now I'm going to go over a little bit. So now this is what we need. I have my M value, I have my B value. However, it's in decimals. So what I need to do is I need to change column E all into a fractional form. How do we do that? So go up. I need you to select this little book right here. Push that and then go down. Now I'm already there because I was using it prior. Arrow down until you see approximate fraction. Enter that, and we need column E, the column next to it. So say Shift E and then push enter. Okay. There you go. And it changes everything into a fraction that we need. So I see that option D is precisely what I needed. The slope is, it says negative 10 over 3, and the B value is negative 2/3. On the Desmos Graphing calculator, we can directly enter a table and enter our 2 points into that table by selecting the plus and then table. Now we need our x's and our y's. Well, the first point is this point here, negative 2 and then 6. And then the next point is 1, negative 4. So let's put those in. Okay, turn on your keyboard. And we have -2. Notice we don't have a dedicated negative. All right, then push enter and then 1. All right, now we have to arrow back over, and then it doesn't really do, I mean, you can, let's see, let's go. See, it's gonna, you really have to use your arrows on your computer keyboard because you are on your computer. So you will have to utilize some of that. You can't just use these. I mean, they are helpful, but we don't have an up and down because they're depending on you using your computer keyboard. Okay, that being said, let's enter our 6. Okay, and then -4 or -4. Okay, there's our 2 points. But we need to build our y equals mx plus b. Well, this is how you do it. You go to your little dot. It's going to give you a dot, a circle. Yours may be different colors. So you hover over it like I am and hold down your keypad. Hold down your hover and hold. And we can change the color of our dots. And we can, as you see here, it says add regression. That's really what you're doing. That's where the information is for your slope and your B value. So push that. And now you see a built. It builds the equation for you. Okay. So now we need to change that from a decimal to a fraction. Well, it's not going to do it all for you. Okay, but we know what our equation is. So this is what I need you to do. Go to the line below, and I need you to put in, okay, now let me explain to you why I'm doing this. First, A is not negative, and both of our values, our slope and our B value, are negative. Okay, now if you look at C, we can eliminate C because we know that our slope is greater than 3. And C, our slope is less than 1 or less than -1. Okay, so we're going to get rid of that. Okay, now we have B and D. Well, which slope is correct? They have the same B value. So I'm worried about the slope. So do this. It's a little trick. On that second line, I need you to enter -3 point and keep pushing the 3's until you see what you want. Push enter. Okay, in this. Go back up. Okay, sorry about that. Sometimes it's automatic, sometimes it isn't. So what you do, let me do that again for you. Okay, I'm going to say -3.333. And see, it has this little circle that turns on. And for this, you have to push it twice. See what happened? That's not the value I need because I'm really not where I need to be. Okay, it isn't, what is happening is that is saying, well, my decimal cuts off. So you have to keep pushing the 3 until the computer realizes that you want an endless 3, that you're going to have a repeating 3. Then the computer, after a certain point, it turns on the value that you need. It understands, oh, they want the repeating 3. They don't want the 3 that stops, which are two different things, as you've learned in math class. So what does that do? That verifies option D for us. Thank you for watching. If you would like the materials that accompany these videos, you can visit us at numbersareradical.com. And once again, everyone, happy testing.